Welcome back to another episode of Musings podcast. I'm your host, Gongo Mildred, and I'm so happy that you've joined me on another Saturday for another amazing episode. First of all, it's still raining outside. I'm recording this after recording last Wednesday's episode, so it's raining. If you hear it in the background, please forgive me. I didn't know that it was going to rain, or I should have known, because it was uncomfortably hot in my house, and the only time it gets this uncomfortably hot is because it's about to rain. So that's usually my body's way of telling me, yeah, it's going to rain. Or my house telling me, I don't know, something like that. But yeah, so it's raining outside and it's past 1 a.m. at the moment. And I'm just hoping that these things are going to be recorded, by the way. So I do not have a phone, honestly. I know I have a phone and that is what I'm using to record, but I do not have a phone. Like this thing, okay. Somebody told me to just be grateful because at least I have it. And I can make calls, I can like record even. But this phone, it had like space 2 weeks ago, 2 GB free. I have not, the only things I added, like there are like 10 songs or something, downloaded them. And last week, it was like, you don't have enough space. So I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to do? Because those 10 songs did not even fill that much space. And so I let it be. I usually just remove, is it they call the cache or is the cache or whatever that. So I delete those. I usually do that on a regular whenever it tells me that I do not have enough space. So I do that, and then it shows me that I have 800 and something from 2 GB. And that 2 GB, I do not know where it has gone. How did it fill up in order for me to remain with 800 MBs? So I'm like, okay. Last week, okay, by the way, when I'm saying this like last week, and I'm recording this on the 13th, it's past midnight, so it's on the 13th. When I talk about last week, I mean like at the beginning of April. So I know we're on the 25th of April while you're watching this, but I'm talking like at the beginning of April. So that time, I wake up one morning and it doesn't have space. I check 300 MBs. Where did all the rest go to? Then on Saturday, I was talking to a friend of mine and the phone was lagging and stuff this past Saturday. And I check, I'm remaining with 3.3 MBs. Where did all the... I keep asking, where did all the space go? And even when I check on my storage, like the way it is, it shows me, because this phone has a tiny storage. It's like 32, but it shows me that 31 point something is occupied. Then I check down there, like where now the apps have taken this amount of storage, the Nini has taken this amount of storage. I'm checking, it does not add up. Even with the internal things and stuff, it does not freaking add up. It doesn't. So I do not know where the storage has gone. And so before starting to record today, I had to delete an app that is useful on this phone because it was showing me that it had 400 and something MBs and I could not be able to record with just that. So I had to delete an app. So I put these things up, and when I'm connected again, I'll have to re-download that app, which is crazy. Because even though now it freed like 1 GB, the problem is after some time that 1 GB will just disappear. I do not know where it goes to. And then after a while it reappears and then it disappears again. So I need a new phone. And it has started something new. Somebody called me this past weekend or something, last week I think. Again, I'm talking about the early in April. And I went to answer and it was just like that. I'm clicking, nothing. And let's not even talk about the way it gets so hot. Like I could just be holding it, playing a game or something, it just starts getting hot. I'm charging it, it gets hot. I'm doing whatever, it gets hot. I'm talking on the phone, it gets... I do not have a phone. I need a phone. So if you have an old phone that you're not using and it's still like in good condition, or if you can surprise me with a gift, I don't mind them, you know. I'll say thank you. My birthday is coming up later. Actually, this coming Monday. Now I'm talking about the 25th that this is coming out. Monday, the 27th is my birthday, so I wouldn't mind a new phone. as a gift, I would say thank you, my God, because yo, this is a struggle. But anyway, let's get into today's episode because I don't want it to go more than 30 minutes. And I've already taken, I don't know how many minutes just ranting about my my phone. It's just so hectic. I'm trying, but it's just so tough. Like, okay. On today's episode, I'm going to be musing about dream crushes. Maybe I've mentioned this before or not, but I don't think I've had this particular title. But I'm sure all of you, all of us have experienced somebody who's just a Debbie Downer, like somebody who's just a dream crusher, somebody who never, ever says a good word. And even if they do, they're saying it in a sarcastic way. You know, there's an undertone of something that you just do not appreciate and you do not like because why did you say that the way you said it? You know, have you ever had somebody compliment you but in a backhanded way? I think I'm going to do a series of something. I saw them on TikTok a while ago or on Instagram of things that people tell you. They sound nice but they're not nice. I think one of the coming Saturdays, I'm going to do a series like that. So that tuzichambue, like things that people tell you and you listen to it and you're like, well, it's whatever you're saying sounds like a good thing, but it also feels like an insult. So, I'm going to give you a few examples, obviously, of things that have happened to me that were just like my dream crushes, right? So, as I always say, a lot of things have happened to me in my life and they have affected me in one way or another. Honestly, after the 4 years that I've been jobless, I can hardly remember most of the good that have happened in my life. I can only remember bad, 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 bad because that's all I can be able to associate with the past 4 years. And even the good things that were supposed to be good, they just ended up being bad. One of them is when I got the job for the cruise ship and I was so happy. Oh my God, those times in 2022, this was after I just quit my job. This was the first big job I applied for after I quit my job. And so I applied for it. I had the interview. They sent me the letter and the contract and everything. We started the process and my dream started crashing from there. Now, for the company that I had applied for, what they usually do is they get the new recruits, let me use that term, with somebody who is on the inside. So they're going to help you on how you're going to go about your papers and what means. Like you can ask them, you can chat with them there's an in chat something there. So you can talk to them, you can chat with them, they reply to you on your email and you respond, blah, 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 back and forth. The one that I was given, this person did not care. And that was one of the dream crushes for me because I would email and nothing. I would email and nothing. I had to use like there's another portal there, like a direct email so that I can get an answer from somebody else. And by the time I was doing this, my first visa was already denied, my Schengen, because of the way I had applied for it. Like there's something I wrote down that wasn't supposed to be there, which is just a story for another day. But that one had been denied. And by the time I was telling them I can't come because the day for me to fly out was coming up and I couldn't because my visa has been denied. So I had to find another way to reach them. And that's when I reached the other person and they told me, okay, we are going to change blah, 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 your destination, and they make it to the US. And then there I meet the other dream crusher, the person at the American embassy who just looked at me and was like, the US is a very strict place. Your visa has been denied and this form will tell you why. And then he gave me a pink slip that said I did not have enough reason to prove that I'm going to come back home. He asked me nothing pertaining that. He asked me a question that I was asked for the interview to get the job. I answered him the same way I answered during that interview, which was the truth. And this man just looked at me, continued clicking on his computer, then looked up and was like, I'll just crush your dreams right here and now. And I cannot tell you in words how I felt at that moment. I had been suffering from depression since before I quit my job and anxiety, and that is what led me to quit that job that I was doing. So by this time, my whole hopes were depending on this because it was going to be good money. Like what depresses me most nowadays, I think, is imagining all the good I would have done with the money from that job. All the things, like how my life would have changed, how my life would have been better from that job. But instead, that man just told me no. A man who's from a foreign country, he's in my country, and he's telling me that I cannot go to his country because I do not have enough proof to show that I can come back. I'm going for a job. I'm not even in mainland USA. I'm going on a cruise ship, which I'll get into the ship in America, but that does not mean that I'll get out of the ship in America. Because it was doing a couple of, routes, I could have ended up coming off in the Caribbeans. And my plane back home would have been from the Caribbeans to Nairobi. So I did not know why he thought that I was going to refuse to come out of the US, the USA, with the way they kill their own, the way their guns. I have a phobia for that country, by the way. I wouldn't mind to go visiting and stuff, but like that's not my cup of tea. That place is not my cup of tea. I like to go visit particular places, see the scenery, get on a plane, come back home. But living there, no, thank you. So if he had asked me any questions on how I feel about going there and what I'm going to do there, all of these things, maybe. But this man asked me one question and followed it up with another one that just meant to explain the first question I did. And he was just like, no. And that was not even the worst part. The worst part was leaving, knowing the visa has been denied. There's no more money to get another one or to try again. And I have to tell my grandma that, yeah, it has been denied. The effect it had on her as well, I don't think I'll ever forgive that man. I think I've said this before on this podcast, but I don't think I'll ever forgive that man. Even if I forget his face. But even if I forget his face, I think if I'm ever in his presence, I'll know it. I'll just feel it because, he. Another one where, my dreams were crashed. Back in 2017, or earlier 2017 or 2016, I started this business with a family member. And at first it was good. They were sitting at home doing nothing. And I was like, you know what? Instead of them just sitting, because I was employed at the time, I was like, okay, let me start this business. It can give them time, like an opportunity to be leaving the house, to be doing something because all the kids are in school. It can give them time to go and do a couple of things instead of just sitting in the house. So we went to Garissa Lodge, bought a couple of things like bras and stuff like that, panties, nini. We went to Dubois and we bought things as well, like perfumes and stuff like that. And then we came up and set up this cosmetics and salon. And then I told the people that knew, I told them not to tell some other people that I knew because I knew how they were going to react to the news. And the money for this job I'd gotten from a friend who was giving it to me as a loan. So I started the first month, which we started actually like mid-month. I got quite good money from the business, bought more stock, replenished. And then second month, things start shifting. There's some dream crashers start there. So this person I was doing the business with, and if any of them listen to this and they get upset, I've told you a couple of times, it's my story. I will tell them, appreciate the fact that I'm not using your names and I'm not saying who you are to me. But yeah, this person starts buying like skirts and t-shirts and putting them in front of the shop, basically. So they are covering the way into. And because I had asked them like to use the space for salon and stuff, they were having their clients outside, sitting with them on the outside, and the skirts are covering the inside. So this person will not even go in and buy whatever I've put in there to buy. And then the third month, sales were very down. And I told this person, because you're using the space as a salon and you're making money, why don't we split the rent for the place? And it was very little money. Very little, actually. The place, like, it was 3,500. So you can understand, very little. Splitting that, very little. Considering that you're there every single day. And I've done you this huge favor. So they start doing that. But I think, did it even last 4 months? I was making losses. because all the money I was making was supposed to go back as my half for the rent. So basically making nothing. And then when my braids would finish, I think they would buy their own. And so I wouldn't get that money and stuff. So they're doing all of these things, crushing my dreams, but they forget that I'm supposed to make money from this business to pay back the friend who had given me the 50,000. But anyway, long story short, I was able to pay the friend from other means, not from that business. But then the other dream crusher, they remember the people I did not want to know about this business. The moment they found out, they made sure that I had a fight with this person at the shop, a big one, like a very terrible one, because they said, oh, blah, blah, blah. They spoke a lot of things I don't want to get into right now. But they did that, made sure that I fought with this person, and I couldn't work with them in the business ever again. But at least the one thing I learned from this dream of mine being crushed is that to never work with family ever again, no matter who they are. Like, do not feel so sympathetic towards somebody and you go like, oh, maybe I should start a business for them or with them so that they are just not at home. Because I helped somebody. And you know, the funny thing is that I still have things in that shop that I've never gotten the money for. And I don't know if they've been sold, and I've never gotten that money either. And this person is still working from that shop. Those dresses and skirts and blah, blah, blah they used to buy and put in front of the shop, no longer do it. The way they used to sit out of the salon, they sit inside now. And I still have to look at them and be like, oh, they're still family, and laugh with them and talk to them if I meet them and be courteous and everything and put whatever they did like behind. And right now that I do not have a job, imagine how much that space would have helped me if that business would have continued. Imagine just how much it would have helped. They crushed my dreams and they did not care. Like, I have such negative people. I remember somebody telling me back in the day, like this wanting to work on a cruise ship and the American embassy doing what they did. It's not the first time I've wanted to work on a cruise ship. So one of my friends, I went to college with him. He worked on a cruise ship back in the day. And I remember when he got the job, I was like, I was still in my 20s, my grandmother's still working. But then back then, it would have been amazing. I would have been able to go. But then I remember saying it in a family setup, like, oh, by the way, a friend of mine is working on a cruise ship now. I'd like to apply. And somebody telling me that you're too fat to work on a cruise ship, they won't allow you to go. I was, I think, 60 something kgs. Now I think I'm 100 and something. And even when I was applying for it in 2022, I think I was at 90 something. And I was allowed. So tell me how at 60 something I was too fat. Like, I know there's a cap for the weight because water, nini, and the ship itself. There's something the doctor explained to me when I did my medical back in 2022. But still, this person just crushed my dreams and moved on. I don't know if it was because of jealousy. I don't know. They're just bad people. How do you just crush someone's dream and move on like nothing happened? How do you live with yourself and think you're a good person after doing such a thing to someone? I remember feeling so bad, and that person put it in my head that I was so fat. Nowadays, I look myself in the mirror and I hate the way I look. As I've said, I said that in January. I hate the way I look right now. I really do. But I remember the way I used to look back in the day. I go to photos from back in the day, especially on Facebook, because I used to put them there. I look at those photos and I'm like, this person told me at this weight that I was fat, and somehow I believed it. I remember there's even this guy who was trying to date me or something at the time. And he was talking to me and telling me, and I was like, like us fat people, blah, blah, blah. And he looks at me and he goes like, you're not fat. And a part of me just couldn't believe that I wasn't fat. Because somebody who I share the same DNA with had called me fat and I had believed them. And I do not know why I believed them. But now I look at myself and I'm like, hey, this is now what you call fat. I might think obese even. And I know he said I'm trying to reduce weight, but it has been tough. My mental health is not okay. And as long as I'm stressed, there's nowhere that this weight is going. I need to have zen, like a zen mind, a zen space, a zen everything in order for me to be able to lose weight properly. And I know the motivational talkers will be like, no, you have to push yourself. You have to do the battles I'm fighting. Just don't. Like, don't advise me, don't tell me. Just don't. I know all those things you're telling me. I know, but I also know how I feel, and I know what is going on in my mind, and I know I'm not okay. And so no matter what we say or do, it just won't change anything. Okay, so don't even go there. Another dream crusher, like back in 2014 when I got a job. I had been out of work from sometime in 2013, I think June or July 2013, until September 2014. So I get this new job. I'm happy about it because I've been at home for more than a year. And I'm like, finally. I start working. I've spoken about this before on that episode that, people who just meet you from the first day, they hate you. Yeah. And then these two ladies just decided, like, to hate me. They start hazing me and they start behaving weirdly and they're talking behind my back and they want, like, I almost got fired from that job from what they were doing and from another colleague at work trying to do my job so that he can be given the job, which meant, like, if he had gotten the job I would have been fired, and I was new. So, and he knew this, but he still did it. I got into trouble with the boss and I had to prove myself that I'm worthy of being here by making him good money over one Saturday night. And that was amazing, which made sure that I never got into trouble no matter what I did. Anyway, I never did anything bad. But the type of person that I am is that you give me a job, you tell me you have to do this. I'm a very hard worker. I'll do it because I know I have to, you know? Like, I'll do it, and I'll do it. So I did my job. I made sure I never got, like, into any trouble, or apart from, as I've said in the past, the HR that we had, blah, blah, blah. But that was later. But even in those moments, I was never afraid of being fired because I knew I had made my mark in the place and I knew I'd shown them that, yeah, I can do my job. But these ladies, why were they trying to crush my dream? They didn't know me. They were living with their parents. I was living by myself. I'm trying to pay my bills, and you're trying to crush my dreams. You're trying to pull me down. You're trying to get me out of a job. And for what? And let's not even talk about the other one who had succeeded in making me quit my job in 2014 because of a tribalism at work. Like, why are people like that? Honestly, why are people like that? Is it out of jealousy or what is it out of? Because I've never been able to understand. How would you look at me and just feel like, no, this person is doing so many things that are great. I do not want them to continue. I have to dim their light. Right now in my life, the people who have helped me the most in trying to, get me to achieve my dreams are my friends. People I've called friends, people I do not share DNA with. These are the people who have been like, you know what, maybe go to the UAE and see if you'll get a job. Unfortunately, that was not my portion. The people who have been like, okay, let me get you something. What do you need? An oven. Yeah, let me get you an oven. See if you can bake, make some money out of that. Let that help you. It hasn't worked so well, but I'm still trying. I'm not giving up, by the way. I'm not giving up. I'm still doing it. So if it was meant to be, it will be. If it wasn't meant to be, no matter how much I try, I know it won't work. But I'm trying to be positive, at least in that aspect. So I'm not giving up on that. But you understand that it has been friends who have done that. But anyway, I think I'm going to leave it at that. Dream crashers. I'm sure you have experienced them. I'm sure you know them. My stories are just a few out of many that have happened to people. I'm sure if I just Googled it, I can even do a dream crusher part 2 with other people's stories that I've seen online and stuff like that. And the things that people will tell you, like people getting married to a man who tells them that they cannot work, they cannot dress the way they used to dress before when this man was meeting them, they cannot go back to their friends, like, narcissists, the way they behave. Like, they tell you, you have to be a shadow of yourself, your former self. And then they start complaining like you've let yourself go, you no longer dress good, you no longer blah, 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 you no longer blah, blah, blah. And then when the woman finally gives up and goes like, hey, yo, I need a divorce, I want a divorce from you. And they move out and they go back to being the beautiful woman that they used to be. Their self-esteem goes back to being okay and all of that. This man goes like, I think she just wanted me to hate her or something, because why couldn't she dress like this when you were married? Why couldn't she look like this when you were married? They forget that they're the ones who suffocated you. They crushed you. They made you become a shadow of yourself. So I'm sure you've seen such people. You tell them, oh, I have this dream, like I want to own a car. I remember, I think I told you, one of the people I've dated before, he told me, he asked me, like, what would you have wanted to do, like if you could do anything? And I was like, a musician. And he laughed to my face and he was like, you cannot sing. This man had never had me sing, ever, because I'd never sung for him or in front of him. He had never had me sing, and yet he looked at me because of the way I looked, which was not his particular standard of how musicians look, and he went like, you cannot sing, and actually laughed. And this was somebody that I was sort of dating. Like, and then also the friend that I told you about, the one like with my business for cooking, which I'm still doing, by the way. If you want meal preps and stuff like that, I do that. If you want chapatis for a party, mandazis for a party, please call me. I'll come and do that for you. Okay, I'll cook for you, and at a price, of course. So my meal prep business, so I will be like, come to your place, cook food for the entire week, and then you'll pay me some money. I was charging 2,000, which is little, by the way. Let me say it's fair, because like I'm not like a qualified chef. So I'll just cook like, okay, unataka nini na nini na nini. I ask you what you want to be cooked for, and then I cook that, but mostly were Kenyan foods. So that you come from work and you open your fridge, Monday this, Tuesday this, Wednesday this. I come back the next week, I do the same for the next week. This is 2,000 per week you're spending, but imagine if you're taking takeout. You are ordering KFC, tomorrow you're ordering pizza, the next day you're ordering, dumplings from, a Japanese restaurant, and the next day you are getting, I don't know what from where. You'll end up spending more than even that 2,000 in a week. But with me, I do all of that, I cook for you, including chapati, and you pay me 2,000. This former friend asks me how much I'm charging, and I tell her, well, 2,000, and she laughs as well. And I'm like, what is to laugh about that? Like, it made me feel a certain way. Like, why would you laugh about that? Does it mean that she doesn't think I can do it, or I do not deserve to be paid that 2,000 to do that job? Or what exactly was she laughing about? I say former friend because I haven't spoken to her since then. But seriously, these have been my dream crushes. These people have affected me negatively at a point in my life. And I just do not understand why they were doing it to me, because I would have never done it to them. So, yeah. Tell me in the comment section if you have ever experienced dream crushes. I'm sure there are other things I can think of that have happened to me, but I don't want this thing to be so long. So tell me in the comment section down below, who have been your dream crushes? What happened to you that somebody, or what was said to you that you looked at the person, you're like, hey, this person, akona roho mbaya tu, Tell me in the comment section down below. Remember to make your orders. I'm still baking, so please make your orders and I'll make them for you. If you want a meal prep, tell me. I'll come cook for you for a fee. And yeah, remember to follow me on Instagram and on TikTok, Musings Podcast. Remember to please like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications so that whenever I put something new, you're going to be amongst the first people to come and watch. Okay?